to Agent Investor, the only program, the only company, the only brand that helps real estate agents achieve financial freedom through not only just investing in real estate, but selling real estate. And we teach agents how to earn really whatever it is that's going to help them achieve financial freedom on a monthly basis, whether that's 5 or 10 or 15 or $20,000 of passive income each and every month. We teach the tools, we give the tools, we teach the strategies, we teach the techniques. And today we're going to talk about the mindset that's needed to invest in real estate, and really the mindset that's necessary to be successful in really any area, in any walk of life. And in fact, mindset is something that I probably should talk about a lot more, but it's something that I kind of forget, how important it is. And I should probably cover it, if I'm being honest, probably more like once a month rather than once a year. So Agent Investor, we teach real estate agents the Agent Investor model. The Agent Investor model teaches agents to sell real estate for a living, right? Make your living listing homes, working with buyers, generate big chunks of income through flipping homes or by partnering with us on flipping homes, and then using those big chunks of income to invest in passive income assets, whether it's to invest in someone else's deals, investing syndications and get passive income that way, or to buy your own passive income assets, whether it's short-term rentals, whether it's long-term rentals, doesn't really matter what it is. Our objective is to help real estate agents get off that real estate roller coaster so that it really doesn't matter how many houses you sell this month. It doesn't matter whether you go 3 or 4 or 5 months without doing a deal. You've got your bills paid for from the passive income from real estate investing. Okay. And we teach agents not only how to fix and flip homes, but partner with us, but also how to find fix and flip opportunities, which, as I'm recording this right now, June of 2024, there aren't great flip opportunities, falling off of trees, but we teach real estate agents how to open their eyes, how to be strategic, and how to go out and get great investment opportunities, great fix and flip opportunities, whether you're going to do them yourself or you're going to partner with us. Speaking of partnering with us, I mentioned this a couple of podcasts ago, but moving forward, every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m., I'm going to be doing an Agent Investor partnership training. Okay, so if you're on my email list, you're probably getting notifications on when those are. But I do want to give everybody the URL if you do want to register for one of those upcoming training sessions. You can go to www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. Again, that's www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. And you'll register for the upcoming event, which, by the way, is virtual. You can be anywhere in the country. It's through Zoom. And as soon as you register, you're going to get an email and a text with the link, with the Zoom link to jump on the call. On our weekly partnership call, I'm going to cover the high-level basics of how the partnership program works, how to find deals, how to turn those deals into passive income, and really more than anything else, how agents can not only become, investors, but generate monthly passive income just by keeping their eyes open for fix and flip opportunities. Keep in mind, with our partnership program, we buy countries. I'm sorry, having a tough talking day today. But we buy properties all across the country, every state in the United States, as long as we can, get a good deal, which we'll talk about also on that partnership call. What type of properties we're looking for, what we consider a good deal, how we analyze deals. But with our partnership program, we put up all the money, we do all the construction, and then we split profits with agents 50-50 just for finding us a deal, all right? We're trying to do 100 partnership deals in the next 12 months. We're hoping that if you're listening, you'll jump on that call to learn more about that program. And again, bear in mind, we put up 100% of the money. There's no risk on your end. We analyze the deal, we'll do the construction, and then we'll split the profits 50-50. Our average fix and flip partnership profit to date is $80,000, which means we've been cutting checks on average for $40,000 to agents who have referred us deals. We've done deals that have made $200,000. We've done deals that have only made 30. But again, we teach and train agents on how to find these opportunities. If you're interested in earning big chunks of income that really you can use for anything, but what we will suggest you use it for is to invest in passive assets, make sure you register at www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. All right, let's get into the topic today. And, the subject of this today is the biggest asset of high achievers is mindset. And I'm going to list 10 ways that high achievers think differently. Now, I do want to give a really big disclaimer here, because no matter what I say today, when I say, high achievers have a certain mindset, maybe they think a little bit differently, maybe they think a certain way, I want to be very clear and direct here. No matter how high achiever you are, if I say something like, a general thing like high achievers have a positive mental attitude, right? Something very generic. Let me be the first to tell you that it is a struggle, even for high achievers who have the right mindset, to keep that positive mental attitude every day. So when I talk about these 10 ways that high achievers think a little bit differently, when I talk about their mindset, it is not that somebody who's a high achiever in any aspect of life wakes up out of bed, ready to crush the world, ready to do everything they need, never get tired, never get negative, always want to work harder. No matter what I say today, it doesn't really matter who you are, but high achievers focus and they put time into the 10 things I'm going to talk about today. So these 10 things that I mentioned today are not mental things that high achievers were born with. It is things that high achievers not only try to work on, but proactively work on throughout the course of whatever they're trying to achieve, right? So I just want to say that this is not something that's born within you. Now, could some people maybe by nature be a little bit more positive, or could some people by nature be a little bit more hardworking, or could some people by nature find some of the stuff a little easier, or could they have had an environment that encouraged them to be a little bit more like this? Yes. But again, let me be very clear. This is all stuff that I don't care what type of high achiever you are. All these 10 things are things that people have to not only work on once, but continue to work on over and over again. All right, so let's talk about these things. Number one, high achievers control what they can control. Okay, so there are so many things in our life that are outside of our control, and it is very easy to get caught up in things that we can't control. Whether we had a good head start, whether we had a mentor or didn't, whether or not we got selected for something we thought we should have gotten selected for, it is really, really easy to get caught up and worry about the things that are outside of our control. High achievers do not focus on those things. They look in the mirror and they say each and every day, what are the specific things that I can control? What is within my control, right? Let's give an example of that. When it comes to finding deals, let's say that you're out there, you're looking for a great property to flip. You're out there prospecting, you're knocking on doors, you're making calls, you're going through your SOI, and you're not having any luck, right? You're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing, and you're not having any luck. Well, it'd be really easy to focus on the result that maybe you're not getting right now. But that's irrelevant, right? Because all you can do is control what you can control. What can you control in that example? Well, you can control in that example if you continue to keep on the path, right? You continue to do the right things that you know that you need to be doing each and every day. Or maybe you even do more, or maybe you get more educated, or maybe you take a slightly different tilt, right? So I think that, when we look, and part of this is like, not everything's fair in life, right? So when I say control what we can't control, we also can't control like what other people around us do, right? So we can't control maybe, what a coworker does, what somebody who in your office does. You can't necessarily control whether you go to a lender and they reject you or not, right? So, but all that we can do is control what we can control. And a lot of what I'm going to say today is like on not wasting brain power on stuff that won't benefit us, right? Because mindset is a lot about, I don't know the right way to say this, but almost compartmentalizing and focusing on the right stuff, right? Focusing on doing the right things always. And you've got to focus on what you can control. And yes, you can get upset about something that you couldn't control, but the faster that you can snap back from that, the better that you're going to do. All right. So second thing that I notice in all high achievers, right, is that high achievers go the extra mile. So high achievers want a result, whatever that result is, whatever that goal is, whether it's financial, whether it's, a specific thing health-wise, whether it's a certain family situation, whatever it is. High achievers are willing to go the extra mile. And in a lot of cases, right, people that are not high achievers, they may want a certain result either in a certain amount of time or to spend a certain amount of hours per week to get a certain result. Whereas a high achiever is willing to go and do more. And in a lot of cases, what I would define as a high achiever might even get called obsessed, right? They're obsessed with the result, right? That's what they're so focused on. They put in extra hours. And, time is one thing, of course, right? So putting in more time, I think is definitely, something that high achievers do. But high achievers are always focused on what will it take to get that result. So I talked about on the first thing, being able to focusing on controlling what you can control. And I talked about maybe you're out there, maybe you're looking for deals and you're not finding anything. Maybe you're looking for regular retail business and you're not getting it. So point two to that, high achievers go the extra mile, right? A high achiever doesn't say, geez, like I wanted to get a listing this week and I didn't get it. And I've got more time in the week, but I already put in 30 or 40 hours, so I'm going to give up. A high achiever is going to be so focused on getting that listing in the week that they're going to be willing to put in even more hours. Maybe the high achiever, and I'm making very generalized kind of statements, maybe the high achiever said, I'm going to make 300 phone calls this week, and I'm going to try to get a listing, or 300 door knocks this week, or I'm going to send out 300 letters this week, or I'm going to contact X amount of private lenders to see if they'll be interested in lending to me. And I want to achieve that this week, but they don't get the result that they want. So what does a high achiever do? They say, okay, I know I was going to make, 300 calls this week to try to get a listing appointment or an acquisition appointment, but I haven't gotten that yet. So what does a high achiever do? They say, guess what? I'm actually going to spend, another 5 or 6 hours. Maybe I'll get up to 400 calls or 450 calls in order to make sure that I give myself the best opportunity to succeed. Getting back to controlling what you can control making that extra, 50 calls or 100 calls. You can't control always whether or not you get the deal, but you're giving yourself the highest probability of succeeding. And there's a Michael Jordan quote. Of course, we know Michael Jordan is considered to be the best basketball player that ever lived. And he's got a quote you can, putting into Google. And it says, the harder I work, the luckier I get. Right. So that's an example, going the extra mile. You go the extra mile, well, things start to fall in your lap a little bit more. Okay. So that's point number 2. Point number 3, high achievers are open-minded. All right. So I see this all the time. And, for somebody that teaches, agents how to invest in real estate, a lot of times with no money, right? I see this all the time. I'll reach out to an agent will reach out to me and they'll say, Tom, I want to invest in real estate, but I don't have any money. I'm just giving an example of being open-minded, of course. And I'll kind of like start to explain how you can invest in real estate without having any money. Of course, our partnership program is one way you can do that. And I would say at least half the people that I talk to aren't even listening to what I'm saying because they have in their mind that they are not ready to invest in real estate yet. They have in their mind some sort of idea about something, and they're not willing to listen. They're not willing to be open-minded. Now, when I say be open-minded, I mean legitimately be willing to listen, be willing to hear someone else's viewpoint. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to agree with it. It doesn't mean that that person's even right. But by being open-minded, a certain percentage of the time, you're going to learn something that you didn't learn, and you're going to learn a skill, or you're going to learn a tactic or a way to do something that you wouldn't have if you were closed-minded, right? So high achievers are willing to be open-minded because they know that there's always potentially some little trick out there that maybe they don't know. They don't get locked in their ways. And guys, we're in real estate. This stuff shifts all the time. The way, to make money, even as a retail agent, there's a lot of nuts and bolts that never change, but things change over time, right? And shifts happen. So you've got to always be open-minded and willing to listen, right? And the one that kills me the most with real estate investing is when I hear, oh, that's a scam. Like, oh, real estate investing is a scam. And I know at that point that person, at least in the mindset that they're in right now, is never going to invest in real estate because they have some preconceived notion about what something is, and they're not even willing to listen. So high achievers are open-minded. High achievers want results, and they're willing to consider input or ideas from anyone and everyone, right? Meaning, like, you can get your best idea from somebody that you never thought you were going to get a great idea from, okay? All right, number four mindset thing of somebody who's a high achiever. High achievers are lifetime learners, okay? High achievers don't look at, education ending when they're done with school, whenever that is, whether you graduate, just middle school or just high school or college, or whether you, get your PhD or you get a professional degree, or you don't do a lot of school at all. High achievers are lifetime learners. They don't believe that learning, ends when school ends, and they tend to get educated at a much higher rate and in different ways than the average person gets educated. So when you talk about like getting educated and being a lifetime learner, there are many ways to do that. Some of us like books. Some of us like podcasts. Some of us like to go to in-person events. Some of us like to just have a coach one-on-one to ask questions to. So there's a lot of ways to continue to learn and continue to get educated. But ultimately, what a lot of high achievers are doing is they're looking for ways, they're looking for solutions, they're looking for best practices and ways that people do things. And they're always questioning whether or not what they're doing is the best way to do something. So I love podcasting for the simple fact that, it's nice to read a book. It's nice to go to an in-person event. But there's a reason that I personally created, our podcast that you can listen to at www.agentinvestorpodcast.com. It's because if you're an agent and you're in a car, you can listen to a podcast every day. And really, there's no reason why you can't do that. So when I say agents are lifetime learners, yeah, it's nice once in a while to be driving around in your car or on a walk and listening to music. I do that. Again, I'm not perfect at all this stuff, but I listen to probably 5 or 6 hours of podcasts per week. Now, I don't even consider that as work, right? That's definitely not included in the 40 or 50 or however many hours a week I work. That's stuff I do in addition, right? That's stuff I'm doing while I'm driving. That's stuff I'm doing while I'm walking or at the gym or while I'm cleaning my house or folding my laundry or whatever. So high achievers are lifetime learners. They never stop learning. They never are satisfied with the information that they have. Okay. So we talk about all the time how you can do that. Guys, we do in-person events, www.agentinvestorevent.com. and the podcast, www.agentinvestorpodcast.com. Okay. Now we talked about, being open-minded. I talked about the partnership program that we have. A lot of people don't believe it's even real, right? Even though if you go on my social media account, you'll see a different agent every week. Well, this is a property we partnered on. This is the profit that we had. You can go right on my Facebook page and you're probably literally connected to them on social media, right? But still, even with that, some people don't believe that it's real. So again, these are just all things like being open-minded is important. Doesn't mean being gullible. It doesn't mean that if somebody tells you something crazy that you don't verify it, right? Trust, but verify with all this stuff. All right. So next thing, high achievers focus on the future and not the past, right? This is a mindset thing. And I said really in the onset of this, nobody's perfect at this, right? We can all look and we can say coulda, woulda, shoulda. If I did this 5 years ago, if I did this 3 years ago, if I did this 6 months ago, if I did this yesterday, if I did this, I did that in the past. Well, one thing that we know for sure, this is a fact, we can't change what happened in the past. The past is the past. We know this. High achievers know this. High achievers may look at the past and they might get frustrated, but they don't focus on the past. They focus on, again, gets back to like controlling what you can control. You can't control anything that happened in the past. You can control what is happening in the future, right? High achievers not only focus on the future, but they believe that they can change the future. They don't believe that wherever they're at today, there's destiny that's going to take them along the same path. They believe that they can change their path by the right daily habits. Okay. All right. Number 6, high achievers have a mindset of creating win-win situations. And I see this kind of fairly commonly where people will try to make deals that benefit them more than the other person. And it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, right? Because if you look at this, game that we're all playing, right? This game that we're all playing, building our net worth, building our business, for most of us, we've got time, right? Like I'll be 42 years old next month. I got a lot more time to go. I got probably like 30 more years of like doing this stuff. I'm passionate about it. I like doing it. Probably not going to stop for a while, right? So when you don't create a win-win situation, you're lucky if someone's going to do a transaction or a deal with you once. When you create a win-win, you get multiple. And my rule, and this is nothing that of course is like official, but I try to give away 51% of the 100, right? I try to make a deal that's maybe a little bit better for the other person so that they feel really good about working with me. And guess what? When somebody feels really good about working with you, they're probably telling somebody else. I get this every once in a while with our partnership program. Someone will say to me, like, why do you guys give up 50% of the profits? You could have easily given up, 30%, 30%, right? And an agent might have been happy with that. And I don't disagree. But what I do know in this example, and this is just something that I live, is that if I give up 50% of the profits and I cut somebody a check for 30, 40, 50 grand, they're going to tell a lot of people. They're going to tell a whole lot of people. And I'm going to get more business that way. So it's also a nice thing to do to make sure that the other person is winning, right? Again, it doesn't have to be that they're winning way more than you. It doesn't have to be lopsided. But I like to go with that 51-49 rule so that somebody's always coming back. All right, number 7, mindset of a high achiever. High achievers value time, okay? So this is, again, a fact. This isn't debatable. We all have the same amount of time in a day, right? We have 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week, 365 days in a year. I didn't just say anything crazy there, right? You've probably heard somebody even just say it exactly like how I just said it. I probably copied it from somebody else. But high achievers value their time, right? High achievers know that there's only so much time in the day to get what they need to get done. So they look at their time and how they spend their time to make sure that they're maximizing the results that we get, right? So So yes, in general, there can be, some differences between somebody who's got a really high net worth and somebody who doesn't. There can be a lot of circumstantial things. But what I can tell you is that in most cases, somebody who has a really high net worth is really serious about how they spend their time. So when it comes to spending your time, I look at it like this. Either you want to do something, you're spending your time, you're working, you're spending your time making sure you're doing the highest productive activities you can, or you're not working at all. Nothing in between, right? You want to avoid that middle ground, right? If you're not working and you're having a good time and you're relaxing, or you're doing something you enjoy, or you're passionate about, or you're spending time with your family, spend that time. However much time you need or you're able to take it. If you're working, though, you really want to look and think about Pareto's principle. I talk about this a lot, the 80-20 rule. 20% of what we do in our jobs, our small businesses, produces 80% of the results. So depending on what you want to achieve, most of us know the answer to that. We know what we need to be doing, and we need to spend more time doing it like that. So when I say high achievers value time, there are a lot of things that fit in that middle ground that are really not high impact activities, and they're not having fun, right? So if we think about like potentially, just to give pick on some certain examples, but like maybe an office meeting that had, you really didn't get any value from, or maybe a training session that somebody said, hey, will you attend this training? And it's not even something that you necessarily want to learn about. Or if somebody calls you and you're in the middle of something and you just pick up the phone, and all of a sudden an hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes go by, or somebody sends you a text message. I could kind of go on and on. But like I said, we all have the same amount of time and the same amount of hours in a day. How we spend it determines our outcome. Not everybody's going to do this, but if you actually keep a log of how you're spending your time and you show it to a mentor, they will be able to easily dissect that for you and basically tell you whether or not you're going to achieve your goals. That's one of my favorite things to do for people that are in the inner circle. Spend time recording how you spent your last 2 weeks, or do it for the next 2 weeks and show me. And I'll help you, determine how you spend your time. How you spend your time is going to dictate the result that you get. Okay. All right. We're already at number 8. Number 8, high achievers blame themselves when things go wrong and are accountable. Okay. This is very important. It is very easy when things do not go your way to look at somebody else. It is never a good idea to blame anybody else. Why? Because you can't control that other person. I've said this a lot. I mean, maybe I've said this, maybe this should be condensed into one bullet point, but controlling what you can control, blaming other people, blaming certain situations, you can't control other people. So, if you hire, a photographer to go out and take photos of your listing and they don't get it done, whose fault is it? Well, yeah, technically it's the photographer, but who hired the photographer? And again, I'm just giving it, simple examples. But high achievers look and they blame themselves when things go wrong, and they're accountable to their results, right? If they didn't get a listing appointment that week, if they didn't get an acquisition deal that week, if they didn't raise capital that week, they're looking at themselves in the mirror saying, what could I have done better? Not necessarily who can I blame. All right, number 9. High achievers having unusually fast recovery when things go wrong. All right, so newsflash, things go wrong for all of us. Sometimes, people think that certain, if you're at a certain position in life, or you have a certain job or a certain net worth or whatever, that everything is just, sunshine and rainbows. Is not the case for anybody. Not the case for anybody. Maybe this just sounds so simplistic, but what I can tell you is that things go wrong, and that high achievers are able to compartmentalize and move on faster. So I would argue that there's probably something that happens every day to all of us that's frustrating enough, annoying enough, or bad enough that could get us off track every single day, whether it's something, really bad or just a distraction. But high achievers bounce back really quick. They know that dwelling on something bad is a waste of time. Okay? Again, easier said than done. This stuff is easier said than done. But having said that, getting back to my point in the original part of this conversation, the more you're aware of these things, the better you can work on them, right? So if you're not even aware that, you waste 4 or 5 hours in a day because you don't keep a time log, then you're not even knowing that maybe you could make some changes, right? So a lot of the stuff with mindset that we've talked about comes from awareness, from understanding these things, right? And they're not stuff that's going to change overnight. So, if you know that high achievers, recover fast when things go wrong, and something tomorrow happens, that's bad, and your normal reaction is to kind of get distracted for the rest of the day, that's not going to change on a dime, but you will now be aware of it. Okay. All right. Last thing, number 10, high achievers believe that they can. They believe that they can achieve their goals. Now, that's easier said than done, for sure, right? Because all of us have doubt. And I don't care who you are. There's some doubt in your head that you can achieve what you're looking for, especially if you're looking to achieve, a bigger goal. Now, my shortcut to this, and really what's helped me, I know I say this a lot on the podcast and events, in emails, and on my social media posts, but this is really true. You're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most amount of time with. So if you spend more time with people who are achieving what you want to achieve, it is going to normalize that for you. Now, I know that's, that sounds simple and it's not magic, but guess what? When you were a little kid and you didn't know how to ride a bike and you were trying to learn just on your own, you might try to get on that bike once or twice, without a parent. You might fall and you might say, oh, it's not even possible to do this, right? If you get 5 friends that are all riding bikes and every single day you see them having fun and you're watching them, you're probably going to believe that you can do it. Like, you might have some doubt still, but you're going to say, geez, if all of my friends can ride their bike, I might be able to as well. And it goes like that, for everything, right? I'm sure we've all kind of heard the story of the 4-minute mile. Well, people, scientists, whatever, athletes thought that the 4-minute mile wasn't possible. It didn't seem like it would be possible. It didn't seem like it was humanly possible. And then somebody did it. And then once somebody did it, I'm going to screw up the number. But it's not super common now, but a lot of people have done it, right? A lot of people have run a 4-minute mile. Why? Because they believed that they could, because they saw somebody else do it. So one of the biggest cheat codes to achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve is by getting around other people that are doing what you want to do. Now, when I say you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most amount of time with, that does not mean that, you tell your best friend of 30 years that you can't hang out with them anymore. It just means, like everything else, that you're aware and you make a more conscious effort around getting around other people that are doing it, right? And there's just something to be said, not only about knowing people who do it, but, the normalization of it, okay? All right, so that's it for the 10, right? The mindset stuff. Mindset is important. Like I said in the beginning, I don't talk about it enough. I talk strategies and techniques much more. What I will say is this: the best strategies, the best techniques in the world, the most educated person without the right mindset will not achieve anything. And in fact, I would rather somebody have no strategies or no techniques, but the right mindset. Because the person with the right mindset that's willing to do all these things, that has the right attitude, is always going to be able to learn the strategies and the tools and the techniques. But a person with the wrong mindset, as soon as something goes wrong, they're going to give up, right? As soon as they have to go the extra mile, they're not going to do it. As soon as they hear about a new technique, they're not going to be open-minded, right? So this stuff is critical. It's something that, I'm glad if you're listening right now that you got to hear this stuff. It's not perfect. It's not a perfect science. All of these things that I said, I try to be good at. I'm not perfect at them. I think I do a lot of them, fairly well. I struggle with some of them more than others. We're all human. If all of us did all of these 10 things right perfectly every single day, I would actually say we're probably not a human. We're probably a robot or AI. You guys know I hate AI. You probably would be, a non-human. So these are all human things. There's literal reasons why we struggle with this stuff as humans. It's easy to get, caught up in negativity and, all this other things. But mindset is super important. So guys, circling back, the partnership thing, I talked about being open-minded and having belief that you can do something. Be open-minded. Like if you see, you go on my personal Facebook account, which I recommend everybody, please follow me at Tommy Caffarella, Tommy, and then a space, Cafarella. Follow me on my Facebook account. It's where I post a lot of great educational content, but you're also going to see a lot of other agents that we're partnering with, right? Get around me, get around the agents that are doing it. Show up to that Wednesday training session at www.partnerwithagенtinvestor.com. Ask questions, right? Get educated, be a lifelong learner. Believe that you can, and you will, right? None of this stuff is going to happen overnight. It is not complicated, but it's going to take time, effort, and energy. And that's what we help agents on. When we talk about, agents getting off the real estate roller coaster, it's not going to happen in a month or 2 months or 3 months. It's going to take a few years, realistically. When you guys listen to me, one thing that you'll always know is that I'm going to tell you, the reality of stuff. Like this is going to take you a little bit of time, but it's worth it. If you think about all of the pain points, I had as an agent, I got licensed in 2005. I was on that real estate roller coaster. I never knew when I was getting paid next. I would feel rich one month, and then I would feel like, oh, geez, I need to be going out looking for a job, right? That all changed when I did my first fix and flip deal, made $115,000, 13 Cameron Ave in Somerville. I know a lot of you know the story. My brokerage is named after that, Cameron Real Estate. When I did that first deal, I realized that there was a path to get off that real estate roller coaster. Did I stop selling real estate that day? No, and we don't advocate that. Right? There's a reason I still have a brokerage. I still make brokerage income. I have 400 agents at my company. So we're a big believer in sales, but, sell to make a living, and invest, to get you wealthy, to get that guaranteed monthly income. Always be on the lookout for great deals and, how to turn them into partner deals with us where we put up all the money. You guys no longer have an excuse as to why you can't flip a home. Right? Because all you need to do is find the deal. We'll put up 100% of the money. So it's a great opportunity. Don't sleep on it. Learn about it. www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com and take little pieces of what we talked about today with the mindset and work on it. And, bit by bit, you'll get there. All right, guys. Well, I hope this was valuable for you. I appreciate you jumping on, and I hope to see you on one of our Wednesday calls.